At 28 years old, Emma had lived a life that few could truly understand. Her father, a war hero, had returned home blind after an explosion in combat, leaving him with only the memories of a life that once was. She had grown up learning to navigate the world for both of them, guiding him through the streets, helping him find his way in the world he could no longer see. But what Emma had inherited from her father was something more profound than just a sense of duty. She had his strength and his unwavering sense of justice. That afternoon, as they sat in a small diner on the edge of town, Emma couldn't have known that a casual meal would soon turn into a moment that would define the rest of her life. The diner was quiet, the hum of conversation and clinking silverware, the only sounds breaking the peaceful afternoon. Her father, as usual, sat silently beside her, occasionally reaching out to touch the edge of his coffee cup or the napkin on his lap. Emma had been busy catching up with him, talking about her day at work, when a group of bikers entered the diner. Their loud voices and the rumble of their motorcycles filled the space as they swaggered in, their jackets adorned with patches and their faces masked by arrogance. At first, Emma tried to ignore them, but they quickly noticed her father, his dark sunglasses resting on his face as he tried to focus on the conversation. "What's this, a blind old man?" One of them sneered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Another biker, more brash than the first, added, "Guess you need your little girl to do everything for you, huh?" They laughed, the sound of their taunts echoing in the small diner. Emma's heart raced. She had grown used to the world's judgment of her father's blindness, but this was different. It wasn't just the mocking, it was the malicious tone behind it. The bikers had no idea who they were dealing with, but Emma knew exactly what they were capable of. She stood up slowly, her hands trembling with anger, but she refused to let them see her fear. "You don't know anything about us," she said, her voice steady despite the emotions swirling inside her. The bikers laughed louder, closing in on the table, blocking the light from the overhead fixtures. One of them leaned in. "What's a little blind man gonna do? You think you can take us on?" The words stung, but it wasn't the words that frightened Emma. It was the feeling that they were about to escalate this. The situation was growing dangerously tense. But Emma didn't panic. She had a plan. With her father sitting quietly beside her, his trust in her unwavering, Emma reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. She didn't hesitate. She dialed the number that she knew would change everything. On the other end of the line, the voice answered with a calm authority, someone who Emma had called on before, in times of trouble. "Hello, Emma," the voice said, recognizing her immediately. "I need help," she said, keeping her tone controlled but urgent. "The bikers, they're threatening my dad. I need you here now." There was a pause, then a simple response, "We're on our way." Emma hung up and looked up at the bikers, her gaze unflinching. The bikers, unaware of the call she had just made, continued their taunts, but the atmosphere in the diner was beginning to change. The other customers had stopped eating, their attention shifting toward the growing tension. It felt like a storm was about to break. Then, like a thunderclap, the door to the diner burst open. A group of men, dressed in suits, walked in with an air of authority. They weren't dressed like bikers, and they weren't here for a meal. The bikers froze, their eyes narrowing as they realized that the men weren't here to eat. "Is there a problem here?" one of the newcomers asked, his voice cool and confident. One of the bikers, still trying to play tough, stepped forward, but the man in the suit didn't back down. "You don't want to do this," the man said, his eyes hard with the kind of experience that only comes from a life spent in control of situations like this. The bikers, realizing that they were no longer in charge of the situation, began to retreat. One by one, they backed off, muttering under their breath, the confidence draining from them like water from a sinking ship. In moments, the diner was calm again. The men in suits turned and nodded to Emma, their job done, and they left as quietly as they had entered. Emma returned her attention to her father, who had remained calm throughout the entire ordeal. He smiled up at her, proud of her strength and resolve. "I'm proud of you, Emma," he said quietly, his voice steady. Emma smiled back, but her heart was still racing. The bikers had thought they could intimidate her, but what they didn't know was that Emma had inherited something far stronger than fear. She had her father's courage, his ability to stand tall, no matter the odds. As she helped her father finish his meal,